Hi. So today let's talk about a very interesting paper, and I want it to be very fun. So this paper was written in 1967 by Russell Ackoff, the Management Misinformation Systems. So if you are a, in the Information Systems PhD program, this is one of the foundational theory paper that you need to read. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is because I want to cover ground and cover all the papers in the field. So so without further ado, let's get into this paper because it's a very interesting read. So in 1967, one man diagnosed our information system and said it will fail. So, and before that, I want to revisit this paper. And Ackoff made a bold claim saying that the most information systems or management information system fail not because managers lack the needed information, but because they have too much of the wrong information. What is actually fascinating is that more than 50 years later, in the age of AI, dashboards, big data, his diagnosis feels even more accurate. So this presentation will actually walk you through Ackoff's core idea and show you why these still matter. Now, Ackoff was writing at a time when organizations were first adopting large computer systems like mainframe, which actually promised to revolutionize management. That's like 1967, right? So managers were told that computers will finally give them the information they need to make better decisions. So today, the promise sounds familiar if you look at what is happening today. So instead of mainframe, we are promised cloud systems, real-time dashboards, analytics, and we are also told that AI will solve our information problems. But the core issue hasn't changed. Back then, managers were overwhelmed with computer printouts. But now they're overwhelmed with dashboards, metrics, alerts, and reports. The technology changed, but the problem persisted, right? So, going over to the next slide. Now, the first assumption Ackoff challenged is that managers suffer primarily from lack of relevant information. Ackoff argues that this is the opposite. Managers suffers from an abundance of irrelevant information. That is actually the problem. Today, we hear this. We need a dashboard for everything. Ackoff explains that when systems focus on collecting and aggregating data, they overwhelm decision makers. What is actually missing isn't the data, it is a filtering, it is a condensation. So his key insight is simple. Good information systems should reduce noise, not amplify it. So now, going to the the next slide. So the second assumption is that managers know what they need, so designers should just ask them. Ackoff says no. This is simply flawed. Managers do not know what they need. Managers often don't actually fully understand the system they manage. So when asked, they ask for almost everything. And this is not a safe bet. This is not a safe way. Because they don't understand the system. And when you ask them, what information do you need? They'll literally ask for everything. And the good thing is that Ackoff illustrates this with a simple case of an oil company where managers identified nearly 70 variables they thought were relevant to their problems. So what happened here is that managers were at an oil company were asked, What variables matters for predicting gas station sales? Because they did not fully understand the decision, actually, they played it safe, and they said price, income, competition, demography, weather, location, and dozen more. So they identify like a 70 variables. Yes. So this actually, in real sense, it feels reasonable. These variables feel reasonable, but it's actually a red flag. So now the researchers then added more variables, and they ran a large statistical model and found 33 variables that were statistically significant, and they ended up with 33 variables. All in all, this looks sophisticated, but still flawed. Now, a simple a simple decision model was built. So another team asked different questions, which is what actually drives decision outcome, the keyword decision outcome. They didn't start with the data, they started with how customers decide. And they realized that people stop at the gas station mainly when they are already driving past the gas station. You likely stop at the gas station when you're driving past the gas station. And the key constraint is traffic flow. Everything else mostly influences how traffic flow is experienced. So they built a model with this one variable in mind, traffic flow. And the one variable model predicted sales better than the 35 model the researchers got initially. So why this matters? This is a lesson. The mistake everyone made at first is ask what information should we collect? That is the wrong first information. So the right question should be that must be asked what decision is being made and what actually works. Only after you understand the decision logic can you know what information is relevant, what information is noise, and what information is being ignored. Being ignored. So on the next is the myth of perfect information. So the third assumption is that managers have complete information. They will make If managers have complete information, they will make better decision. Ackoff says no, no, no. He points out that many management problems are simply too complex for your intuition. Even with the perfect data, humans can struggle with probability, optimization, and complex trade-off. So instead of dumping raw data on managers, systems should provide decision models, rules, and feedback. Information alone doesn't improve decision. Decision decision support does. So that is the third one. So we see the fourth one. So here it's of perfect communication. Now the fourth assumption that Ackoff debunked is that more communication automatically improves organizational performance. That is what we believe. The more the communication, the better the organizational performance. Ackoff says no. Ackoff shows that this is only true when incentives are aligned. So if the incentives are not aligned, no matter the communication, it will not improve the organizational performance. So he gives an example of a department store where merchandising and purchasing manager had conflicting performance metrics. When communication between these two departments increased, coordination actually got worse to the point that where nothing would have been bought or sold. So the key insight is this: you have to first align incentive, then improve communication. Transparency without alignment can make systems fail fast. The fifth one is the fifth assumption is managers don't need to understand information systems. They just need to use them. Ackoff strongly disagrees. Actually. So he then goes to tell a story of a computerized inventory systems that managers didn't understand or question. Because of a simple logic error, the system caused massive overordering, costing the company nearly 150,000 per month, more than the old manual system. So managers felt incompetent to challenge the system, so the system ended up controlling them. So Ackoff's warning is timeless. Managers must control systems, not be controlled by them. Managers need to understand the system in which they operate. So in today's world, do managers actually understand how AI works? If they don't understand how the AI works, there's no way they can control or implement the system. So understanding the system is key. So looking at the eighth slide, we're saying from misinformation to control. So when you put all these five flawed assumptions together, you get what Ackoff called management misinformation system. To avoid this, information systems must be embedded within management control system. This means that systems should support goal setting, monitoring, feedback, and learning, not just reporting. Information is not the end goal. Control and learning is the end goal. Again, information is not the end goal. Control and learning, and the information system must align with the decision making process. So going to this slide 9, you can see the Ackoff doesn't just criticize; he proposes a design blueprint. Right? He his approach starts with decision, not the data. The process is a map. The process is map, map decisions, model them. You first of all have to map the decision, model them, align responsibilities, design information systems processing, and build systems that learn over time. Again, you map the decisions, you model them, you align responsibilities, and you design information systems, information processing, you design information processing and build systems that learn over time. This is actually remarkably close to how we now think about decision intelligence and human in the loop systems in this AI age, if you understand this. So, going to this, the slide 10, the first step is to identify the key decision managers make. What are the key decisions that managers make? This includes including decisions they make by default. Ackoff shows that many decisions go unexamined for years simply because no system reviews them. So once decisions are mapped, you model the decision process itself. The model, not the manager's preference, determines what information is relevant. Again, the model, not the manager's preference, determine what information is relevant. Finally, related decisions should be grouped together to reduce information overload and improve focus. Again, finally, related decisions should be grouped together to reduce information overload and improve focus. Then this part, so this part shows Ackoff emphasizes that systems should not just answer questions; they should flag deviations from expectations. Ex- Inspections Inspection reporting allows managers to focus attention where it matters most. He also stresses that System must be adaptive. No system is perfect, as we all know, so it must be designed to detect its own failure and improve over time with human in the loop. So, the, if you look at this image, you can see the blueprint in action. The diagram shows Ackoff's ideal systems in action. Managers propose decisions, model, models generate predictions, outcomes are compared to expectations, and deviations trigger investigation and learning. So over time, both the model and the managerial understanding improves. This result is not automation replacing humans, but more like human, but more like learning, but more like a learning, well, but more like a learning man-machine system. I call it a learning man-machine system. So you can see the blueprint in action. So finally, I would like to close. No management information system should ever be installed unless managers are trained to evaluate it and control it. So if managers are not trained to evaluate it and control it, it should never be installed. Be it AI, if you want to implement AI, managers should be trained to evaluate and implement it. Otherwise, the system will end up controlling them. In the era of AI and analytics and algorithmic decision making, the question matters more than ever. Who controls your system, you or the system itself? So this is the end. So if you understand the foundational papers, the basic of information system, you can it gives you a strong understanding or a strong room to understand what is happening now in the field. So I will also try to do more videos on papers in the field. Thank you.